And get ready to take off with the unanimous decision. See, that doesn't even sound right at this moment. Like, really, what are we doing? George Mason beats the Dayton Flyers 71-67 in Fairfax. Awful. Sickening loss. Terrible loss. No other way to put it. Like, it was on everybody tonight from top to bottom. It was gross. That was gross. Awful play from Kobe Elvis. Awful coaching decisions by Anthony Grant. And look, I'm normally a guy who's kind of on AG's side. Tonight, there's no defending what that was from Coach Anthony Grant. 17-0 run, no timeout? Yeah, all right. Good stuff there. Fouling it all the time. I mean, yeah, I guess the foul discrepancy was a little bad, but I have no words. I don't know. Look, this shirt right here, it's a heart with a frowny face on it. That's how I'm feeling. That's my mood right now. Because the Dayton Flyers just lost on the road for, I believe, what is it? Out of 4 their last games played on the road, they lost 3 of them. You lost more games in conference so far than you did in the non-conference. Granted, because they're not playing on the road, I guess. I don't know. It's all bad. Horrible game tonight. I mean, I just don't even have the energy for it. I don't know what to say. It's not like they were that good of a team. Like George Mason, they're 7-7 or 8-7 now in the Atlantic 10 for a reason, or maybe 7-6, something like that. Middle of the pack for a reason. That was a game you had won. That was a game you were up 11 in the second half, and all of a sudden they flip it just like that. So, yeah, I don't know what to say. We'll get into the game recap right now because there's nothing else for me to talk about. Dayton falls to 11-3, now in, I believe, 3rd place in the Atlantic 10. Just at a loss for words. Deron Holmes, obviously the star of the night for the Dayton Flyers, 26 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. I thought he was good tonight. They went to him as much as they could. I feel like maybe a little bit more they could have went to him, but that's what you get out of Deron Holmes every night. I can't say the same for the rest of the guys. I mean, there's no consistency in this lineup, however. There's no will to win. I felt like George Mason's energy was a lot better from the jump. They were playing more aggressive. They wanted it. They wanted to win. They wanted to get that court storm, which was weak, by the way. I thought that was trash. But they took it to you. They hung around down by 6 at halftime, and then they took your punch in the second half, and then they flipped it, and you were playing uphill from then. I mean, just horrible, just awful. So, Deron Holmes, already mentioned his stat line. 3 of 9 from Nate Santos, 7 points, 3 rebounds. He threw up a couple of bombs late, so I won't really get too much, give him too much slack or give him too much flack, So, he was all right. I thought he did a good job on the boards at least. Only had 3, but, the timely rebound at the end. Didn't make the free throws either. I mean, that's also another thing. Talk about the free throw disparity and the free throw. We just weren't clutch enough at the free throw line tonight. Javon Bennett, 6 points, 5. He fouled out. Oh, my God. 5 assists, 2 of 4 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. That's a problem. When your main point guard who played over 30 minutes tonight, I don't have the official minute log, but that's a problem when your main point guard, main ball handler is only getting up 4 shots and they're all threes. That's a problem. That should show that your offense doesn't want to get to the rim. That shows that your offense doesn't want to get anybody else any looks or run any sets for anybody or have him attack off the pick and roll. Enoch Cheeks, 3 of 7, 2 of 3 from 3. I thought he played all right for what he gave you. 8 points, 4 rebounds. Could have finished at the rim a little better. I thought he got fouled on a couple of those ones that he took in and just strong-armed them. But, yeah, I won't complain about Enoch Cheeks. But then 2 of 11 from Kobe Elvis, the garbage time layup. I really think it was 2 for 12 because I don't think they counted that, obviously, that long 3 at the end of the half. But he would have been like 2 for 12. And, look, this isn't some new thing, right, for me at least. I mean, I know some Dayton fans have just stuck onto that loyalty of Kobe Elvis because he's such a great point guard. Well, yeah, in all of your losses, he's held under at least, 7 points? 1 of 4 from 3 tonight. He had a couple of bombs. I'll give him that. He had a couple of bombs towards the end of shot clocks. But still, if that's your primary ball handler, if that's who you're going to be looking to score most of the time, if that's who's going to get your second most volume of shots on the team, he's got to be better than 2 of 11. That's just what it is. I mean, I'm not trying to consistently harp on Kobe Elvis, but I'm just calling it how I see it, right? It's like Dame with our Milwaukee Bucks show. It's like, you give him all this volume, you give him the ball for 30 seconds in the shot clock and just ask him to go do something with it. And he has not proven, I don't think throughout his career he's proven that he can be a guy who can consistently score the basketball. It's just not that for Kobe Elvis. So, yeah. Timothy Johnson, Duran and Santos rimouts unlucky. Virginia are ops for real. Yeah, you're right. I mean, we go into the state of Virginia and we just all of a sudden forget how to play basketball, I guess. But then I have it's 3 losses. But then I have a tough time just saying that because we just haven't played well against good teams. Like, I wouldn't even say Cincinnati's a good team. This team could have a fraudulent resume, and that's why a lot of people are saying that this team is a one and done in March Madness. I'm really, as a Dayton fan, I'm really not sold on the resume, to be honest. Cincinnati, I don't know if they won tonight, but they were on the first 4 out. St. John's, not in the tournament. Houston, you got crushed. Northwestern, same thing. You get out rebounded. You get out hustled and you lose. So I'm not really that sold on our big wins. LSU, not a good team, not in the tournament. You were down 15 to them, and then you came back and it was a prayer. So honestly, I'll just tell you guys this: I'm not sold on our resume, and that's why I can't fault people for saying we're going to be a first round exit. Trey Crosby, the third guru, says tough L fam. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough to stomach for sure. Petros Patagimas, 0 points, 2 rebounds, missed a 3, went in and out. I mean, we only saw so much of him. I thought he played as best of defense as you could against Keyshawn Hall. I thought he did a good job of trying to at least stay in front. Isaac Jack, 2 of 3, 6 points, knocked down 2 big free throws. I thought Isaac played pretty well, but defensively he just couldn't hang with Amari Kelly. Amari Kelly, by the way, a guy who used to play for Duquesne, had a stop in between there and then came back to the Atlantic 10. Interesting. And then finally, Kobe Brea, 3 of 6 from 3, 50%. Had one go in and out at the end, too. I like the look. I think you can get more shots up for Kobe Brea for sure. But that's just not how the game went tonight. We didn't try to get him any looks. We were hosed tonight. Refs can't allow 15 more free throws for Mason. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's not something that, normally I'll call out the refs, and I was going to do that too when I got into, the George Mason side of things. But golly, man, like it wasn't even like we were fouling at the – they probably got, 4 free throws because we intentionally fouled. But outside of that, that's still 25 to 14 on free throws. That was bad. I thought George Mason, they were allowed to play a lot more physical because they weren't getting the bump calls that we were getting. That's why you saw Javon Bennett foul out. That's why you saw some of the other guys have some foul trouble. I think it was, Nate Santos had 4. Isaac Jack had 3. Yeah, we weren't allowed to play aggressively, so I get it. I get why they had a lot of straight line drives because what can you do? You're either sending them to the line, they're getting in the bonus quick, or you just let them go. And I think that's why they were able to penetrate some of our defense a lot better. But I also think, we'll talk about the 1-3-1. I thought some of the defensive adjustments were kind of questionable. Definitely. Ryan Stein says, someone tell AG not to run the 1-3-1 so many times in a row. Defense needs to contest more shots. Yeah, and I agree. And I guess we could just go to that now because I've got that, in my topic bar. Hold on, let me move it. All right, there we go. You were down 61-60. You just needed a stop, and you went back to the 1-3-1. Now, this isn't the only time it got an open 3, but this is the main part of why this 1-3-1 doesn't work, because you're allowing a wide-open shooter to get a clean look. I think it was Polite who hit that one. It was pretty deep, but I'll say he was wide open. It was a catch-and-shoot, pure. Knocked it down. So you can't fall in love with the 1-3-1, right? Like, I've seen it actually work sometimes, but tonight it didn't work at all. You had a ton of possessions where even if they did miss the three, you weren't rebounding anyway. Let me check the rebounding battle. What was that? Yeah, they had 33 rebounds. We had 27. And let me see. Offensive rebounds, they had 11. We had 6. Or no, we had 14. Okay, I got that wrong. But point still stands. I mean, when the 1-3-1 was working, we couldn't get a rebound anyway. So just very questionable on behalf of Anthony Grant in terms of just moving to the 1-3-1 when you didn't have to. Everything was working when you were trapping in the backcourt and then manning up. That's why you saw the 11-0 run that we went on to at least try to get back into the game, and it got us back in the game. But then it just felt like a weird turn of events when you come out of that timeout and you're trailing by 1 and you go to that 1-3-1 zone. Didn't like it. And part of the reason, like I mentioned, is because they weren't allowing us to play hard-nosed defense, hard-nosed man-to-man defense. But I still think towards the end, look, Javon Bennett didn't foul out until late. So I think like in the final couple minute stretch where you just had to D up and try to get a stop, you could have just stayed man. And I think that was one of the biggest reasons why you lost that game tonight. Because you give them the confidence of having a 4-point lead. And I don't trust this team at all when we're trailing. I don't. Because what's the same thing that we do over and over again? We wait until the final seconds to get it downloaded to Ron, and either he's going to get doubled and force it out to either a contested 3 or just a 3 in general, or he's going to take a shot. And if you're down 4 points in crunch time, that's not going to work. You got to get to the rim quicker. And that's on some of the guards, too. The guards don't want it. I don't think the guards want it at all. They haven't really showed the confidence of being able to take over late games at all. We're relying on big runs from this offense and from this defense to create turnovers when that doesn't have to be the case. It doesn't. I don't know. It's a bad loss for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if and we'll talk about this a little later too, I wouldn't be surprised if we drop a full seed line, probably 6 seed, 7 seed maybe. Yeah. Maybe this loss lights a fire in them, but I can't see it. I don't know. This team just has tremendous blind spots in it, like that it just seems like they don't want to fix, or it seems like they just don't know how to fix. They can't play from behind. That's not what you want to do in college basketball at all. You got to play with the lead. Try to do it tonight. Win up 11, and then all of a sudden pissed it away. So, yeah. And I think it all started with the 1-3-1. Look, if teams can't shoot, okay, fine. You're one of the best defensive teams in the country, or you have been at some point in the season. It's been so inconsistent I can't even follow it. But why are you trying to make them prove that? Why are you trying to make them prove that when you're up double digits? Why are you slowing down the pace when that's not what's been working for you during the game? I just don't get it. And that's where we get to Coach Anthony Grant. Couple of questionable decisions tonight. 17-0 run, no timeout. Why are we waiting until the media timeouts all the time to just give your guys a breather? Because then you had to force Isaac Jack in there to give Duran a breather instead of maybe if you utilize your timeouts, maybe you don't even have to sub him out for the second half. Anthony Grant is not dumb, at least. He knows that these games are important. You have to win these games. This is going to be their first probably, quad 2 loss of the season? Let's get real now, Anthony Grant. You can play your guy. Look, you only go 8 deep anyway. You're probably going to be playing Deron Holmes, Nate Santos, and maybe Enoch Cheeks and Javon Bennett 40 minutes a game in the NCAA tournament. So why are we hiding like we have a ton of depth? Why are we trying to act like we have a ton of depth when we don't? That's my first issue. Second issue, no timeouts. It goes hand in hand with, look, dude, At some point, once they tie it up, all right, maybe it's time to call a timeout. Once they get within 2, maybe it's time to call a timeout and get something going. Because we've seen him run good plays in the ATO. I've seen it. We've all seen it. Richmond, I forget, 2022, he got the game winner for R.J. Blakeney. Dunk. Kobe Brea, 3 to tie it up versus LSU. Like, he's not a bad out-of-timeout coach, but why he doesn't use them, I can't. I don't know. I hope somebody has an answer. Does anybody have an answer for that? Because I don't. It's bad. And then Isaac Jack, the minutes, okay, he was in there for a reason. I get it. You took Kobe Elvis out. You put Isaac Jack in. Now you have a little bit more of a presence inside. But he couldn't hold Amari Kelly's jockstrap tonight. He was getting whatever he wanted. Now, he had a lucky bucket at the end of the shot clock over Isaac Jack. But he's too slow right now. He's just too slow. Let's just face the reality of it. He's just too slow. He can't guard. He can't stay in front of a Division I power forward who has been doing this for about four years. I remember he was at Duquesne and then transferred in. So, like, I don't know why you're so naive to not play DeRon Holmes the minutes that he's going to be playing in the NCAA tournament and, quite frankly, Atlantic 10 tournament. Anthony Grant knows that at some point you got to win the A10 tournament too. And I think this Dayton team is the best team in the Atlantic 10, and I think they can win the Atlantic 10 tournament, but it's also questionable when you don't know if they can put together 3 good games in a row. You just don't know. You don't know what the inconsistencies of the guards. You don't know what the inconsistencies of Anthony Grant. You don't know what the inconsistencies of just playing good teams. I'm not all that impressed by this year's Dayton team. I'm so glad that they're in a position to take a loss like this and be able to make the NCAA tournament. But by no means am I satisfied. By no means am I going to coddle this team through what's been a very bad stretch of basketball. Really, I can't even remember the last time they played a good game, full game, if they have at all this season. Maybe Oakland, maybe Rhode Island. Both home games, by the way. Maybe St. John's, maybe, but they're showing that they're frauds. So, like, I'm just very concerned with the inconsistencies of this team. Like I said, I'm glad that they can make the NCAA tournament, but it also scares you. Noah Mar says, sick of people blaming AG for every loss, but don't give him credit for the wins. Look, if you were here for most of these other losses, bro, I haven't been blaming AG for the losses. I really haven't. It's really been the next guy you see under the screen that I've been blaming for the losses because he's just been non-existent when we need to beat a good team. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know if we have really beaten a great team this year. Like, none of the wins to me are that impressive. Maybe they were at the time, but now looking back on it and looking at what these teams are doing, shooting themselves in the foot, tanking our resume, yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough. But, yeah, I've been pretty fair to Anthony Grant throughout this whole season. I've been pretty fair to Anthony Grant throughout his whole tenure with the University of Dayton. But tonight was just one of those nights that he just didn't have it, and I can call it out. It's just I'm not trying to blame him for the loss because it was on everybody tonight. I thought, like I said, when I first started the show, top to bottom, this team was bad tonight. But some of that falls on Anthony Grant tonight for sure. I'm not saying you, but many people on Twitter do. Yeah, I mean, that's just what they do, though. You know, they've had their agendas that they've stuck to. Like I said, I'm definitely glad to be in a position where we can make the NCAA tournament, and we will, hopefully, if barring an absolute collapse in the next couple of games, which I don't see happening. And he has an opportunity to kind of redeem himself against Loyola Chicago. I think that'll be a game where he can make a statement. But, yeah, people hold on to their agendas with Anthony Grant, and it's going to continue that way. He had a bad night. I'll just say that. He had a bad night. As did Kobe Elvis tonight. 2 of 11 from the field. I've aired out Kobe Elvis in multiple of these shows, and I have no problem doing it. The only reason I don't is because we've seen flashes of what he can do when he's at his best. When he's at his best, he is a part of a team that can beat Cincinnati by double digits. Now, I didn't say that Cincinnati was a good team, but still, a game with high stakes and a game that was very highly anticipated at the moment. We've seen what he can do. Like, when he's at his best, when he's actually making his layups at the rim, when he's picking and choosing his spots, he's good. Tonight, awful. Against Northwestern, didn't make a shot. Houston didn't make a shot. Do I have to keep repeating this? I don't think so. But all 3 conference losses in the Atlantic 10, he's been bad too. So basically all 5 losses. All 5 losses, it's come at the hands of Kobe Elvis just not being able to produce. And at some point, obviously it can't happen this season because you have no guard depth. You redshirted Marvell Allen, and I saw some people talking about that. We're not going to burn his red shirt 26 games through the season. So get that out of your head, whoever thinks that. Please. Marvell Allen is not coming in to save this Dayton team or Dayton point guard depth. It's just not going to happen. But next year, there are conversations that need to be had, especially if these games keep going like this. I think Enoch Cheeks is very consistent. Doesn't get the volume that Kobe Elvis does, but I think he's very consistent. Shot the 3 ball a lot better today. And Javon Bennett has been pretty good. The only thing that you would be doing if you don't have Kobe Elvis in the lineup next year is you would be going very small because Malachi Smith will be back for 2 years. But then you bring in Marvell Allen, I think he's like 6'4". So I think there are some legitimate arguments that and conversations that need to be had around the future of Kobe Elvis if this keeps up. If he continues to go 1 for 7, 0 for 6, 2 for 4, 0 for 8, 2 of 11, you know? And like I said, in the future, obviously this is the era of the transfer portal. Now, if you lose one of these guys, like a Marvell Allen, if he does decide to transfer after a redshirt year, which would be weird, but that can happen. We've seen it. Then you've got to think about getting somebody else that has proved that they can consistently score. Not only that, but consistently take volume and be able to produce with it. Because Deron Holmes is gone. Deron Holmes has shown that he is a first rounder, if not early second rounder. So you're going to need to find some more offense there. You're also going to probably have to find another big in the portal because Isaac Jack isn't going to be able to do it either to fill Deron's exact role. So there will be some tough conversations in the summer, and I think it'll all rely on how this Dayton team performs when it comes to March Madness. Ryan Stein, Elvis's court vision could be better too. Had Deron wide open at 3 on one play and missed a shot. I wish Javon was more aggressive and took more shots too. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I said this when I just read out the stats. Javon Bennett, 2 of 4 from 3. That's all the shots he took. He's got to be – if we're going to have it in somebody's hands for 30 seconds, I'd rather it be Javon Bennett because at least I know he can knock down a 3 or knock down a shot. Like, 2 of 11 is ridiculously bad. That is bad. His court vision, yeah, I agree with the court vision stuff too. Look, originally he was brought in as a shooting guard, had to come and play the point last year, was not good at it. And then he's playing a little bit too much of the point this year, and he's not good at that either. So the staff has to kind of make a decision on that. I'm not even going to say the last time I'm going to talk about him because if the inconsistencies keep popping up, you know why. If we keep losing to teams that are competitive, you know why. Like I said, it's not all on Coach Grant, but there's definitely some blame to go around with the players. And I'm like, people are so afraid to bash the players because they think, oh yeah, they do so much for us. Look, I'm not. I'm not. Like, if somebody's shooting 2 of 11, what do you want me to do? You want me to sugarcoat it and be like, oh, well, we'll get him next game. You'll get him next game because after every Kobe Elvis bad performance, it's a loss, and then the next game, it happens the same way. And we don't have much time. Look, this last year of Deron, you have a real chance to build some momentum with this program if you can win a couple games in March, but it's not looking like that with the poor play of Kobe Elvis, with the inconsistencies at the guard position. It's just not. And so that's my biggest concern is like, all right, are we seeing a foreshadowing of what's going to be our ultimate downfall in the NCAA tournament. Possibly. That's why I'm so concerned about it. That's why I think that I don't know if I would – it's tough to come to terms with the fact that maybe you do have to bring Kobe Bray in the starting lineup and just have Javon run that point guard role, rotate Enoch and Kobe, maybe rotate Enoch and Kobe. But Enoch is so much better defensively that I don't even know if you can go without him. This team doesn't have depth. They just don't. So, yeah, there is definitely some interesting conversations being ready to be had at the end of this season if this trend keeps continuing of bad basketball. Let's look around the Atlantic 10. That's enough. I'm not going to go too deep into this loss tonight because ultimately I was hard on this team against VCU. I knew this was a trap game coming up, and the Flyers just they dropped it. They dropped it, and it's tough, super tough. So the Atlantic 10. I saw Richmond ended up sneaking away from Rhode Island, 85-77. So they're just gonna win the conference over us for sure. I don't see a world where we win this Atlantic 10 regular season. I mean, it's gonna have to take a miracle. Richmond's schedule's not that hard. They will have to play VCU, but that's at home, and VCU just got boat raced last night, I believe, by UMass. Yeah, lost by 22. Davidson beat Fordham last night. Duquesne crushed St. Louis last night as well. St. Joseph's prevailing at home over George Washington, 79-75. LaSalle over St. Bonaventure, 72-59. And, of course, the Dayton Flyers losing to the George Mason University Patriots. It's some bad mojo in that gym, I believe. It's some bad – I don't know what it is. We can't win there. It's tough. We lost the year before I think we lost the year before 2020. And then we barely beat them in 2020 in an 18-0 A10 regular season. And then we beat them in that weird COVID year after the aftermath of COVID and then lost 2 in a row to George Mason. It's just, I don't know what it is about that team. They get up to play Dayton. Obviously, all these Atlantic, this is what I want this Dayton team, or I wanted this Dayton team to be prepared for, was going on the road and playing teams that you've got to beat. Like, these teams aren't necessarily world beaters. They're not good. I think this game could have been a 20-point blowout, but it just seems like a lack of motivation. It seems like their feet are stuck in the mud because they're ranked. And it seems like they're extremely complacent with where they are at in the season when that's not that. They had an opportunity to be playing for a 2 or 3 seed, and they ultimately just pissed down their leg. Lights were too bright. They can't handle the pressure. And maybe that is because it is a newer team, but like you can't even make that excuse. Because you have the best player in the Atlantic 10. You have 2 of the best defensive guards in the Atlantic 10. And you have a great 4-man who has filled the role for Tumani Kamara in the best way possible. So just extremely frustrating that you can't win on the road, not even against a good team. I mean, 3 in a row in Richmond, I guess you could say, but it's not the State, guys. I'll tell you that. It's not the State. It's this team being so complacent with where they're at. It's this team not going out there with any heart. It seems like they have to play from behind just to try to find an answer and to find where their feet are to figure out how to beat a team. Like, you don't have to be trailing at any point during the game to be a good team. Like, I don't think this Dayton team knows that at all. Yeah, I would be a lot more mad at this loss if, it ended our season. But I am, like, you might not be able to tell because I smile all the time, but I'm at a loss for words. Like, this whole post-game show is just low energy because I don't got it. I mean, I'm starting to have my self-doubts about this UD team. They might not be who we thought they would be. They might not be who everybody's ranking top 25. They might fall out of the rankings, to be honest. So, and I wouldn't mind it. This team needs a piece of humble pie, and I think this tragic loss will do it. I mean, shout out to George Mason, though. They looked like they wanted to play. They looked like they wanted it. Shout out to them. They played well. They played well. They hit shots. when they needed to. They made shots down the stretch. They were the more clutch team. We'll see them again, hopefully, in Brooklyn, and it should be a Dayton victory, but super disappointed. Once again, I'm Chris King for the Dayton Flyers postgame show. Unanimous decision. Go ahead and subscribe to the Cream City Crossover YouTube channel. About to hit 500 subs. Let's go. Give me the clapping sound, the golf clap noise. We don't got it. We don't got it on the soundboard. But yeah, Cream City Crossover, the media group taking over, going crazy. And I'll have these post-game shows continuously throughout the Dayton season, even if they are hard to do, even if we do take some bad losses, even if we get one and done in the NCAA tournament. There will be a lot to talk about around Dayton basketball. And, yeah, George Mason wins 71-67, knocking off the 16th ranked team in the country, the Dayton Flyers. Just unfortunate. Just unfortunate loss. Hopefully they really take a look in the mirror and recognize that this team is nowhere where it was when they put up 96 on Rhode Island. This team was nowhere where it was when they put up 88 on St. John's and 80 whatever it was against Cincinnati, 84, maybe 85. So they've got some looking in the mirror to do. But until next time, I'm Chris King. Stay royal, baby. Go Fly.